that a hard cider, or are you just happy to see me?
Hi, Daddy.
Well,
I'm happy to report to you guys that I have not played Dead by Daylight in over 2 weeks.
He's recovering.
so
Because I've been playing Elden Ring.
all right, I was gonna say, quit your grinning and drop your linen. It's about to get grown up in here.
Also, Becky was sending me a picture of these shoes, and she's like, why am I the person that wants to buy these god-awful expensive shoes? And she's not going to. It was like a bit. But on the site, it like shows a picture of the shoe. Here, I'll show you, Shane, because we're in the same room today.
And
But
because
then
it's an
it has
audio
like 2
medium.
tabs.
It's basically a banana with a heel wedged up into it.
Oh, that's
you know?
fantastic.
Yeah, they're not
that's
gonna
a
see
white
that.
screen.
Through the glare.
Yeah, okay.
But anyway,
It
there's
was
2
censored
tabs.
for her eyes.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Legal said we
There's-
couldn't see it, Michael.
There's 2 tabs, and one it's who is she and how she fits. And I was like, where was it? It's like, who is she? How she fits? So now shoes get to identify as sentient?
Wait, this is too much to process.
Well,
So-
as I famously discovered earlier this week, I am fat, but I identify as skinny, so I am trans slender.
That was one of the best TikToks you've ever sent me.
Oh my God.
It's official.
Also, can we update? Have I done better in the past week at sending you TikToks?
No. You hit me with one, and then the rest of them, I believe my exact phrase was, if you don't stop sending me poo-poos singing the Reading Rainbow theme, I'm going to come over there and break my foot off in your ass.
You said you were gonna
Oh,
block
I was going to
me.
block you, yes.
And-
Uh-huh.
And the moment you sent that, like I saw it and I was like, wonder if he's serious. And then like three scrolls away from that was another really, really good one. And I was like, with Shane's history, he actually will block this TikTok.
Yeah, I mean,
He
I don't
will
really
block
need
me.
it for anything.
But talking about her or Becky's shoes, like the sentient shoes, made me really think about Blade Runner and like, what if AIs just decided to identify, you know, that they were people?
Do androids dream of electric
Do
green
they?
shoes?
Do they?
Why did you start this way?
Yeah.
Why did
I
you
can't-
like the one time you and I are in a room together where I can kill you with edged weapons? Do you want to tempt fate?
These are some of my incredible thoughts.
Okay,
Kiss,
good.
kiss,
I'm glad that we got
kiss.
that. I already told you, you can't kiss with your dick.
Not with that attitude.
You can do other
Indeed.
things.
Not in this economy.
Pucker up.
And on that note, ladies and germaphobes, boils and ghouls, gremlins of all ages, welcome to another disgusting edition of this, the Disinformed podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm John.
I'm Michael.
I'm Courtney.
And that's right, John and I are in the same room for the first time in nearly a millennia, and
Yeah.
we might not live to tell the tale.
Probably not.
Nor should we.
This meeting
I
was
got enough
prophesized.
reasons. Indeed, I've got enough reasons to die. John sends me TikToks pretty routinely, so.
Yeah, exactly. Can I share one quick story I thought of today?
I thought he
And
was
then I'll
going to
be
say
out
a
of here?
TikTok. I thought he was going to say a TikTok, and I got
Guys,
scared.
I literally wrote these down so I wouldn't forget to tell you, and usually I don't do that.
And that's a hallmark of quality that we have all stood by.
Right? Are
for
you ready to
years.
hear about more poo poo and pee pee? No, no. I was at the dentist today, and I had a flashbulb memory of when I was a kid, and probably. I mean, I've done a lot of stupid things, so I don't think this breaches top 10, but it's definitely one of the stupider kid things that I did. I wanted to get like plaque off of my 2 front teeth when I was a kid. I was probably like 10 or 12, and I was going to the dentist that day, and I don't know why I decided it was a good idea, but I took the tab off of a soda can, and I thought that I could scrape it off scrape the plaque off my teeth with the pop.
You sure
top.
can, yeah.
But you're right, you
It's
can.
enamel, but
What it does instead is it just leaves huge silver streaks on your teeth.
Oh my god.
this is what happens when you're the youngest of 18 children, is that no one is supervising you.
Well, it's not only that, but it's like you're the last in line, and also you live in Arizona and you don't get education. So,
yeah, so comparatively, you could die and no one would notice.
like, they created warning labels based off things that I did.
Home Alone is a
including this
myth.
is
She didn't even
It is.
notice that he was gone. Sorry.
But anyway, my chompers are fine now. But I just remembered, I was giggling in the seat, and I could tell that the chick thought I was just losing my fucking mind.
Yeah, Captain Polar Pump over here is not an example of things to do with appropriate commerce.
No, I feel like Becky's parents should stop harassing us to have kids. Because one, it's not going to happen, and two, maybe I should just start sharing these stories with them, like
That'll
with her
change
mom.
their
And just be
minds
like,
really quickly.
"Hey, Diane, do you want to hear? Do you want to know how I got these scars?"
I think you should also be like, Becky can afford to perform the duties of her job, but she can't do that mothering one of my offspring. So,
And you don't want me unsupervised watching a child. It'll probably die.
yeah.
It'll probably
One
die.
of the two will, whether you or the child.
One
Just
of
a-
us has to go.
There's a
One will
2-year-old
survive.
baby Watkins running around going, "Are you my friend? I'm having a seizure."
You're going to have to hold still. This bow and arrow is really heavy.
Oh,
my
and speaking
God.
of, weighty and sharp objects, what we typically do on this show is we will delve into random esoteric topics, and in the course of explaining them to you all, the listeners, and of course to one another, we will lie about them occasionally, and the whole point, the whole exercise of this show is so that the co-hosts can ferret out the fact from fiction and try to make it entertaining while we do so. Doesn't always happen, unfortunately. Sometimes good, sometimes shit. But ultimately, we're not going to allow you to leave ill-informed. Oh, no. We have a denouement at the end of the episode where we tell you what we lied about. So it's a lot of fun. And this week we are continuing. We are going to have part 2 of Trigger, Willie Nelson's mythical instrument, which is just a significant amount of fun, and I'm very excited about this.
Yes.
So does anybody have anything else they want to get off their chest before we start?
Well, I have a
I just
list
felt like
of
sharing
stories
today,
that I would
okay?
like to share just because John's writing his down. I figured I
Yeah,
would
what's
start
your list
writing a
look like?
book.
Is it how to use a gate and a compressor? Is that what's on your list?
No, I forgot those. I kind of just click randomly and hope for the best.
You're doing terrific.
Thank you.
I'm not going to look at your fucking
You're
phone.
going to look at the phone. I don't trust you.
He's cheating.
This isn't math class. I'm not going to cheat off your paper.
He's just trying to get an A.
All
Dick
right,
sucking.
then. So, and Michael, you had something you were going to hit
No,
us with?
no, I was.
You were going to delve into some very profound observations you had about life, love, and the pursuit of backyard taco?
Yes, actually, I found the opposite of heavy water. It's called light water.
Oh, yeah, that's called prostate problems, friend.
Capri
That's going
Sun?
to happen as you get older.
Oh shit. Okay.
Well, it seems like you've recovered from the poison since yesterday, Michael. Because when I talked to you yesterday, you were poisoned.
I had
Wait, what?
horchata. No, I just had really, really
We don't
nasty
say
horchata.
that word. Sex worker.
Sex chata, please.
Sex
I
chata
have
sounds like a
this-
strip tube from like 1998. Like, welcome to Strip Chata. Are you ready to see my tatas?
Oh, speaking of, you have a Bikini Bean like right down the street from
I
you.
do,
And
I do.
only in this side of town would there actually be a line that rivals Dutch Bros.
Well, since we're already on the topic, do you want to talk about the time you and I went to Bikini Bean
We did
together
go
to
to
experience that when we were fully debauched and
It
hated
was
reality and
Kind
ourselves?
of sad.
Is it like the
So,
Hooters of coffee?
Here's
Yes.
Here's
Yeah.
the problem with
That's what I
me
thought.
in general, and why I've never been in a strip club in my life, is that I have guilt feelings and associations so that I can't
dude.
ogle people openly. So the entire time I was desperately, like, as the girl was leaning into the window of John's car, just dangling everything that she had, I'm staring at her face. I am not going to. So I'm like, do you have any recommendations for what flavors we might get for a latte?
Well, you could get a black coffee, and it looks like your big dumb balls are full, so maybe you could just pop that in if you need some cream.
Pretty much. And yeah, she was just wibbling and wobbling, and the whole time I'm just terrified. I'm like, I don't see you as an object. I came here as a shtick, and I regret every second of this.
Shane is grimacing and he's not blinking, staring her to the eyes, and he's like, so do you go to school around here?
I'm a married spud. I'm a married spud. I'm a married spud.
I wasn't a married spud at the time. It's just that I have this weird thing that it's the Mormon in me. Like, I always assume someone's watching me. And so I just have to present myself to the best. And obviously not when we're recording this show. I'm secreted away like a Louis C.K. fucking bed monster when we're doing this. But yeah. I don't even like talking to fucking people at Dutch Brothers who are like the most caffeinated coke addicts I've ever encountered in my life. But yeah, I don't need probing questions from a girl with like, just nipple floss who's trying to hand me a lovely caramel macchiato.
Yeah. But Michael, you were saying about your sex chata?
Oh, I just had really nasty horchata and it just made me really sick. That was it.
Like poop sick?
Yes. I honestly don't know why Courtney brought this up. The horchata didn't sit well with me. It tastes like old milk. I'm sorry. And that's my story.
Zippity zoop.
So essentially, my toilet bowl looked like the world's worst cinnamon bun.
Not wrong.
Okay.
Not wrong.
That's a pleasant thought.
I feel primed.
The topic of shit, and this episode is in fact titled Down in the Hole. Fire down below. We're going to get into this. So, as we mentioned previously, Trigger, the long-suffering Martin acoustic guitar that has helped to define the sound of soulful country crooner and songwriter Willie Nelson, has become, over the course of his decades-spanning career, the most important component of Willie's songcraft, mojo, and mental health. And yes, I will say Willie a record number of times this installment, I guarantee.
Good luck.
He actually leans into the fact that his name is, a bit of a double entendre. He has like several albums. One was called Naked Willie that I discovered the other day.
And that's not a lie.
That's not a lie. I didn't see a Free Willie anywhere, but I figured I should investigate a little further. But in any event, the instrument essentially acts as a security blanket for Nelson, and keeping it intact has become a top priority for the artist. As we alluded to previously, the guitar looks like an impact crater in an active war zone. Call it Sokovia, all right? Awash in holes, gouges, scuffs, scars, burns, and breaks. Willie, however, refuses to simply cast off his Guardian guitar for another model.
Wait, you said burns. I thought are there actually burns on there?
Yeah.
No.
Damn.
That's not a lie, though. That was just me forgetting that I have transitioned. It was one script that I broke up into two, so I kept that in for the sake of that's just bad editing on my part.
Gotcha. Okay.
I will also mention superfan Steven did approach me after last week. He's like, why doesn't the man just get another guitar? He's like, why is this such a big fixation? I was like,
Did you tell Steven that it's not taking his turn?
No.
That it's
he
a
didn't buy
fucking guitar
shoes.
with fucking papers?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But, there is obviously something that is a little bit awash in Willie's brain as far as the juju that is imbued into him by this guitar. But we'll get into that here.
It's a very Sam Camacho kind of individual.
Yes, without question. So stoned all the time?
Ooh.
True. Probably just bleep her last name. I shouldn't have said that.
Oh, just everybody knows. Here's the thing about, we can't maintain anonymity. We routinely plug our band.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
and
fair,
everything that we have has our full names on it. It's not like we're
Yeah.
going by the Marilyn Manson school of advertising, whereas
fair.
I'm Twiggy Dumbfuck.
Here's my magic murder basement.
Indeed. I actually will be Dr. Henry Killinger from this point forward, since you've mentioned that. But,
Sounds good. You won't do the whole episode in that voice. You won't.
Thus, the care, feeding, and maintenance of Trigger has fallen to Pooty Locke, Willie's dedicated stage manager.
It would be so infuriating for our listener to have to listen to 90 minutes of that.
I was like,
I took enough shit after. Yeah, once we made it through My Immortal, I was told I can't do fake voices anymore. People get upset. Like Sewer Rat 997 on YouTube, who was really upset that I read things how they were punctuated in that simple fucking story.
I remember that beef.
So, the care, feeding, and maintenance of Trigger has fallen to Pooty Locke. Actual name, not referring to his inability to hold his butt cheeks together. Pooty is Willie's dedicated stage manager. In the mid-70s, where we'll rejoin our story, Pooty went to see God damn it. I've jinxed myself because now I'm only thinking of Jerry Maguire. It's like, no, I am not Hootie. Pooty went to see a young Texas luthier and repairman in Austin named Mark Erlewine, who had a shop on Guadalupe Street, north of the University of Texas campus. Pooty just needed someone to attend to the care and feeding of the instrument, and invited Erlewine to meet Willie. They met at the Austin Opry House Bar, and Willie anecdotally told Erlewine, "Just keep my guitar going. As long as it's working, I'll be working." Erlewine then cleaned the raw white spruce around the hole, then sealed it with lacquer to keep it moisturized.
You can say sound hole.
No, it's the hole. "Spruce is a very soft wood," he says, "and everything that gets in, sweat, beer, affects it." The Martin already had its first autographs, courtesy of Leon Russell, who etched his in with a knife, and Johnny Bush, who used a ballpoint pen. Pooty began taking the guitar to Erlewine whenever the band took a break from touring. He was especially worried about the hole, which was, of course, getting bigger as Willie continued to dig his fingers into the soft wood.
My
Nice.
holes.
My hole!
My hole!
Just as troubling, the wood around the hole was also getting thinner. "It was so thin," says Erlewine. I don't know why I had to give him the, my Oreos
Prospector
voice.
voice.
He actually is a very soft-spoken individual, though, so we're just going to ride this out. "You could have accidentally put your finger through it." He placed a couple of short mahogany braces under the soundboard to help shore it up. Willie plays so vigorously, and his fingers attack such a wide area, from the bridge to the sound hole, above it and below it to the edges of the guitar. One more again, to the edges of the guitar, that Erlewine had to clean a lot of the wood. He used cotton diapers and naphtha solvent, pushing out dead skin and dirt, which does tend to accumulate as
Did
you
he
play for long
actually
enough.
use cotton diapers?
Cotton diapers.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, he could have used another absorbent.
Literally anything else.
Well, maybe it was cheaper.
Stay free,
No,
maybe?
because diapers are expensive.
How would you know, Daddy
I mean-
Watkins?
I've shit myself 2 times this year.
Those are adult diapers. They're probably priced differently than normal diapers.
Do you have to clean yourself up after you shit in your pants?
Not
Depends.
With oh, damn it. I was gonna be like, well, I have a bidet, so it's usually a pretty quick recovery.
So, of course, then he would lacquer over the spaces on the guitar and then buff that out. He'd go over the fretboard with steel wool and then rub it down with lemon oil. Every time that Pooty brought in the guitar, it, of course, wound up accumulating more autographs. Some were famous musicians, Roger Miller, Johnny Cash, Chris Christopherson, and others were members of Willie's band or crew. Paul English, of course, Pooty, Budrock Pruitt, and Toonin' Tom, a.k.a. Tom Hawkins, who had become the guitar's caretaker on the road, changing the strings every 3 or 4 gigs and tuning it up. Some signed the guitar in magic marker or Sharpie, and their names were soon lost in the blood, sweat, and beers of the nightlife. Others scratched them in with ballpoint pen, but didn't push deep enough, and so their names have slowly faded.
Get wrecked.
Eat
Weak
shit,
sauce.
ballpoint pens.
Fucking nerds. Can't afford a knife.
Carve it yourself, damn lazy asshole.
Little bitch.
Such hostility.
Fuck those guys.
What's the matter? Is the wood too hard for you?
Got little weak wrists, huh?
I'm trying as hard as I can.
Has anyone
So-
ever hammered and wow, I can't speak. Has anyone ever hammered and chiseled it?
I mean, I don't
Oh
think
my
it
God.
would survive.
Also, did you say how
Figured
many
I'd
lies
ask.
there were and I missed that?
I think I did.
No.
Actually,
If
I
I
don't
didn't.
recall.
Okay, well then.
Uh-oh.
I threw off the program by being here, so
Oh,
Slap my
God.
tits and call me Susan.
Ugh.
There are 7 lies
Holy
So we've
shit.
in
already
this
missed
episode.
8 lies.
yes.
No. In point of fact, I will help you out. You haven't missed anything yet, so
Bullshit. That's one of the lies. This is all scripted.
Nope. So, I apologize for my omission. It's a terrible thing. So soon, Willie lost track of exactly everyone in totality who had signed the guitar. He and his band were touring all the time. By the mid-'80s, they were on the road 6 months out of the year.
Wow.
His singing and playing were getting more idiosyncratic as well. The progenitor of artists like Adam Duritz from the Counting Crows, who aimed to never perform a song the same way twice, Willie's songs tend to undulate nightly, with added notes to a solo, an extended bridge section, or perhaps just a little more pomp on the outro chorus. While typical guitarists trend toward either playing rhythm or lead, Willie strums, as well as rolling single-note leads, two-note gypsy chords. I don't think we're supposed to say that anymore.
Ugh.
I think you're okay.
And arpeggiated runs in which he would, as Django had, play individual notes of the chord while also incorporating strays from around the shape. He'd bend the strings so far you'd swear they would pop off of the instrument, and then tastefully leaven in a blues riff. As such, Nelson's eclectic and bombastic style took a toll on his equipment. Willie wore away even more of the soundboard, revealing the support braces underneath, forcing Erlewine to attach additional mahogany braces, as well as further cleats, which are slight pieces of spruce, to bolster the thinning wood as things progressed.
Do you think that if his guitar had, sentience, that
God damn it.
that it would be like a Cronenberg, and it would be like, just kill me.
It's Franken guitar.
The Quado of guitars.
Just kill me. The fucking scene in Alien where he's like stuck in the...
I mean, it does have two mouths at this point, so it's probably speaking out of everything. That's a terrifying thought. We're going to leave that where it lay.
Though I
Now
would
you've
like to
done
see some art of that.
You can't just say that, Michael.
Why?
I don't know.
I want
mean,
to
you
see
can.
art. Yeah.
I like that it's John telling you not to say that when John is number one most asking for art.
You're not
Yeah,
the one.
fuck you.
Fuck me yourself, coward.
I would if
You
I was
won't.
over there.
You won't.
Yeah, I have
You
to
don't have
leave
the
Gilbert and I
balls.
can't do that. I'm too lazy.
Allow me to help you.
I'm going to need a few more of these by the
Another
time this
one.
night's over, I'm sure.
Another one.
Brought to you by Key Lime LaCroix.
Yeah, they're tasty, aren't they?
Man, if we
So-
could get sponsored by LaCroix.
Or Topo.
I'd
Topo.
take getting sponsored by your Uncle Steve at this point, Michael.
Don't be sponsored by him. It's a trap.
Whatever you do, don't be sponsored by him.
Some honeypots are worth getting trapped in.
Not him! Not him!
Oh, bother.
What episode of Winnie the Pooh is that from, Shane?
Everyone. Pooh's a power bottom. We've discussed this.
Oh, I thought he was a sloppy toppy.
No,
No,
he's
no.
definitely power bottom, yeah.
Oh, bother.
Oh,
He's just laying
bottom.
there. He's just prone, splayed out, just waiting for Piglet.
Well, who's... I'm so sorry. I need to know. Eeyore and Pooh are hooking up. Is it still
Not
the same?
possible.
No.
Yeah, what?
Eeyore's not fucking anybody.
Yeah.
Eeyore's got to be a bottom.
Asexual?
Now, Tigger, on the other hand, I feel like is just Roger and everybody. Just
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's low hanging fruit. Yeah.
Oh, but yeah.
You're welcome.
Hey, it's the 100-acre wood for a reason.
Oh my god.
All right.
And cursed episode.
So eventually, the Lovecraftian maw that was sprouting near the bridge stopped growing. But this led to other issues. Someone eventually dropped the guitar on its input jack, which was set in the side of the guitar, which caused the wood around it to just splinter and rip.
It was set on the side?
Yes. It's one of those like weird underneath plugs.
Okay. Like for the listener, the people that don't play, usually the input jacks are at the bottom.
Tend to be
Or-
around the tailpiece,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That makes sense.
So, no, this was in the side. So, the hole was then covered with a small metal plate, and the jack was moved to the bottom of the guitar, as John was just saying. The bottom. The insides of the Baldwin amp were also wearing out, but devoted fans would actually give Willie their Baldwin amps and his people would then cannibalize them for spare parts.
Is that true?
Mm-hmm. So
That's
that is a
pretty cool.
devoted fan base when they
Yeah.
have bought amplifiers because they like your sound, and then they contribute to your cause moving forward.
Also, the cannibalizing existing gear or gear into existing gear is still a huge thing. Like we have friends that do that. Like,
everybody
for a
likes to
living.
Frankenstein, yeah.
Like there's a dude in the valley that makes guitars that essentially are supposed to, like, he uses like old neck boards. Like he Frankenstein's guitars and then he puts a nice finish on them and sets them up and they sound amazing. But anyway.
It's beautiful.
Would the metal plate not change the sound of the guitar?
Well, it's on the bottom of the guitar, so it's not in it. So the resonance usually happens from the top and bottom of the face plates, essentially. So the exterior is mostly just bracing and kind of bracketing. You do get some sound from it, but for the most part, like those two, the top and bottom,
Sure.
are really what you're worried about for an acoustic instrument. So, but a good question.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Willie was so rough on his guitar, even when he wasn't playing it, it seems. Earl Wine eventually found himself having to replace the guitar's tuning pegs because the one for the D string continually broke. So apparently, the old man's got this nervous habit, Pooty explained to Earl Wine. During shows, after Willie played a song, he would fidget with the D string tuning peg while he was talking to the audience, turning it up and down, which was essentially just grinding the gears off.
Is that bullshit?
No. So he'll just sit and fiddle around with the D
That
tuner.
gives me anxiety.
Uh-huh. So Willie actually has no idea that he's doing this. This is just completely something that's subconscious for him. So they actually had to point out to him he was doing it. And even then, they now have to replace his tuning pegs every 4 to 5 years.
They should just put like a fake one.
Uh-huh.
Like or something
Just
like
let it fiddle with some, like a
Just
nipple
like
on
4
the
on
neck.
one
Yeah.
side, 3
like
on
a
the
fidget
other.
widget on the guitar.
Not a bad idea.
I mean, if they're basically putting a human brain inside of the guitar, you can put a fidget widget on the
Yeah, it's just some weird sort of like spinning or...
yeah.
But he did have one set that managed to last all of 9 months. So, impressive.
Oh, he brought it to term.
Indeed. Shudder to think what was birthed out of the hole. So, in 1989, the band was touring in Southern California when Pooty brought the guitar to Rick Turner's shop in Los Angeles. Now, the bridge managed to split and completely break off of the instrument. And naturally, Willie had a show the next day. And so, Turner wound up having 24 hours to repair this. "We gotta get it fixed," Pooty told Turner. "When the guitar can't go on, he won't go on." So much like Ozzy Osbourne and brown M&Ms. But usually, it will take a minimum of 48 hours to properly build, glue, and set a new bridge on a guitar, but Turner still managed to do it in a day, allowing Willie and his guitar to hit the road again. And now, on to our final sections. So, Willie's endless party ended, as we mentioned in the prior show, in the late 90s, or in late 1990, when years of unpaid taxes caught up with him. Federal agents invaded his Pedernales ranch. It's Pedernales. That's how it's spelled.
He had to go door to door and tell people that?
Indeed, yeah, he's a sad panda. So they stumbled onto his property and confiscated everything they could get their hands on, as we alluded to, including his clothes and his booty. But the one thing they did not manage to abscond with, and of course the most valuable thing on the property, was Trigger, which was, of course, to answer Michael's question from last time, sitting on Willie's tour bus, which was parked down the road from the main house, thankfully. Willie, unfortunately, was in Hawaii at the time during the raid, and so when he heard his guitar had been spared, he asked his daughter Lana to send it to him, just to be safe. She grabbed the guitar and got it back to her father. By then, he had begun to call the Martin by a name, and not just any name, Trigger. The guitar had earned its new handle after more than 2 decades of faithful service. Willie's rise and fall, the boy from Abbott who became the Nashville hit songwriter, the outlaw country icon, and the pop superstar, brought down by the full merciless force of the federal government, had been epic, in fact almost biblical. Such a man didn't play any old guitar. Whenever he was asked why he chose the name, he said, "Roy Rogers had a horse named Trigger, and I figured, this is my horse." Now, granted, he did spend as much on a roping horse, as we learned last time, as he did on the guitar, so I suppose it's an easy parallel to draw for Mr. Nelson.
Very true.
Yeehaw.
Did he actually say that, though? Was that his
He
reason?
sure did. Yep. He's a very brilliant songwriter. He doesn't always issue the most profound statements on life, as I found from seeing many of his quotes. I was like, okay, well, he's my horse with strings.
That I play.
It's just simple.
And now he rode that horse nonstop. And as my father would say, rode it hard and put it up wet. And of course, determined to pay off his debt.
I'm really alarmed by that.
It means you don't take the time to actually brush the horse down after you're done, which means you're treating the horse with ill intention.
Oh,
You're not being a
okay.
decent owner.
Okay, I was going to say
Shane, our
wet because it
resident
was
horse girl.
sweating. Because it was sweating and you didn't give it the care afterwards, but it kind of the same idea. Okay.
I have been nearly killed by a horse, I'll have you know. So, yes, well, thank you to respect my
She
time
has a name.
around the equestrian of... yes, Leanna. And...
Oh, get him. That was not from her mouth.
Oh, God.
and the smell was equivalent as well, strangely enough. Anyway.
Mother of pearl.
So he recorded 9 albums between 1992 and 1996, several of which were centered purely on Trigger, such as the low-key Spirit from 1996, which is still his favorite. And he wound up hitting the road, where he sometimes played so fast and wild it sounded like he'd moved from channeling Django to channeling John Coltrane. Willie would turn around and face the amp and make it roar with feedback. He'd slash at the strings and pick hard, always at his own pace. The band would follow, as if they had any choice. I just start playing, and all the musicians wait to see what I'm doing before they jump in there. Because at that point, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do.
I just love killing.
Oh, boy, here I go killing again.
On death row again. The life I love is just killing with my friends. All right, if you needed proof of how important Trigger was to Willie's sound, you would hear it when he strapped on a Stratocaster for a blues song and sounded like any other speedy hotshot blurting out riffs. Willie needs Trigger. He also needs Erlewine, who saw Trigger for checkups twice a year as the guitar entered middle age, which is something we don't commonly think of relative to a musical instrument. But this one,
Kill me now, please.
I imagine it is like that incredibly obese vampire from the beginning of Blade, the one that's just this undulating mass of flesh, and he shines the UV light on it, and it just squeals.
Oh, yeah. I can hear that squeal.
Yeah,
like,
that's
when
what I'm
anyone
thinking
brings
of
that
when I
scene
think
up.
of Trigger. There's also the actor that said, "This house is clear" in The Exorcist, or the actress, I should say. But
Oh, I've been misquoted that line my entire life. Cleansed.
terrible human being. Yeah. In any event, Willie was playing so much that he was wearing down Trigger's frets, especially the first 5, which is typically where you will tend to hit the major chords. And thus, the wear wasn't just under the strings either, where most guitarists create little divots from constant play, as I was talking about with my own horrible proclivities last time. The frets have actually worn down completely across, which will speak to how frequently he bends and moves around while playing. And subsequently, flat frets begin to cause buzzing and dead tone, and then force the player to press even harder to get a good sound. Erlewine suggested that they put new frets on the guitar, but Willie, of course, said no.
Play it as it lies.
I like the way it's sounding all right, he said. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Willie, it's literally
It's
broken.
fucking broken, Willie. I hate to tell you.
It is like textbook broken.
It's so broken, it is sobbing in a corner, begging for its mother, covered by a blanket, and just waiting for death.
Kill me.
So, Subsequently, over the last 15 years or so, Willie has begun to take advantage of his status as an aging superstar. Wow, that's terribly crass.
I mean, it's true.
Yeah, but still. To make albums that, of course, he's always wanted to make and work with the people he always intended to. He did an album of instrumentals that was heavy on Django and a children's album based around Trigger. He and Trigger managed to go up against Wynton Marsalis and his trumpet on a collection of blues standards. Willie then brought everything full circle when he joined Asleep at the Wheel for a 2009 album, the sort of Western swing tunes that inspired him to become a musician in the first place. The one constant through all of this is, of course, Trigger, who, by Willie's account, has now racked up 1 million minutes of playing time.
I want to say bullshit, but I don't think it's bullshit.
That is not bullshit, at least according to Willie Nelson.
Oh, okay.
Who is so stoned that I don't think he could find his dick with both hands and a map.
They
You
can
don't say
find
that.
Trigger.
That's
all
what
he
I was
needs.
referring to, yes.
Yeehaw.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeehaw.
Yeehaw.
Roll Tide?
Roll.
You just yeed your last hob, bucko.
Oh, shit.
So, Earl Wine looks forward to Trigger's semi-annual physicals. He, of course, asks him to squat and then walk to him.
And turn your head and cough.
Exactly. He then oils the bridge and cleans the fretboard, the wood of which is so eroded it looks like waves between the frets. And then comes the lacquering. The mottled area just above the sound hole shows the effect of 50 coats of lacquer applied over 35 years. The darker parts, of course, are colored by dirt and dead skin, which can't be removed. The lighter parts are where Willie has dug deep into the spruce. It's like he, was spending time in the Forbidden Forest or something. Dig deep, drink water. Water. Give me sugar in water. I know Egger, and that's not Egger.
Oh, so good.
I hate myself. Okay, so Earl Wine then carefully rubs the gouges in the wood that run parallel to the strings between the bridge and the sound hole, a sign of the force with which Willie plays. To go in and pull on the strings like that, says Earl Wine, it's more of an unschooled gypsy way of doing things. This is very insensitive.
He loves
He's an
those
aging
Romanis.
rock star. He's a gypsy.
They're back on the slurs again.
What is he, Stevie Nicks' granddad? Like, come on.
What the fuck?
She has a song called Gypsy. That's not as insensitive as it sounds. Come on now.
It felt that way. That's
They
all I'm
look
saying.
interesting, though. You put them together in a family portrait. I'm sure it'd be delightful.
Willie Nelson and Stevie Nicks?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
They could both shake. One tambourine, the other a joint. So, we're going to move away from this.
Moving on.
This is really thorough about his cleaning process, which, again, as I mentioned previously, I will continue to keep the videos in the show notes. You can actually watch Earl Wine work on this and go through the whole process. It is absolutely fascinating. But he tries to maintain the signatures, of course, as much as humanly possible. Doesn't want to do damage to all of the fun little marks of passing that other musicians have left on it. And yes, in the right light, he can see the impressions left by some older, we presume, ballpoint pen signatures, names or parts of names fading into the wood like faces receding into memory. I again will admit I stole some of this from someone else's very well-written article, but he does tend to wax a little nostalgic at times.
Just a tad. Just a tad.
And then finally, he of course inspects Trigger's maw, staring into its abyss. Willie has always insisted in that zen-like Willie way that the hole is a good thing. I always thought it enhanced the sound,
Me
he
too.
said. And he may be right. Luthiers have long experimented with a second sound hole, and there's a Hawaiian custom guitar company that crafts many of its acoustics with two of them. The thinning of the spruce around the hole has probably helped as well.
Is that
Quit
true?
touching my
Are
leg,
they
you
really
pervert.
experimenting?
Sorry, I'm really horny for this guitar.
Yes, that is in fact true, Michael.
Huh. Interesting. Like, when you mean 2 holes, like kind of like a violin or
Mhm.
where? Oh, okay.
Or
instead
you know,
of-
like, yeah,
they
the
put
two
like
F-holes,
a
yeah.
like an 8 sort of looking a hole in there.
oh,
Also-
okay.
I'm just gonna say right now that if this ends in Willie Nelson trying to legalize marrying his guitar, that I'm gonna walk out of this room.
Legalize it.
Legalize it.
So, the thinning of the spruce, of course, has probably helped also. You walk the line between strength and tone, says Dick Boak, the strangest named man on the planet.
More like Dick Woke, am I right?
I was gonna say
Think.
more like Dick Broke, but
Any way you slice it, it's got to be Dick. But
Ooey and it's chewy. It's gotta be Dick's.
he is a longtime designer and archivist at Martin Guitars, a very esteemed individual with a horrible name. Sorry, Dick. In any event,
I've been fighting my whole life.
I'll continue his quote in the appropriate voice given his name. The wood that is missing may improve the sound. As you scratch away at the top, the diminished thickness of the membrane will most likely make the guitar sound better.
When one power diminishes.
Now bring me a bowl of hot buttered noodles. I'm feeling amorous.
Buxton Bailey. I like how you make a B-word fat.
Thank you, yes. All things considered, of course, Erlewine claims that the guitar is actually in pretty decent shape, except for the frets. There are certain notes that are just... he says. Everyone around Willie knows it. They just shrug their shoulders and say, he's doing pretty well. He doesn't want to change. Erlewine finally gave up trying to get Trigger refretted. Willie's living his life and Trigger's living it with him and all the aches and pains that go along with it. Meanwhile, Trigger's in the back of, I can't even make an A minor anymore. It was so beautiful. The truth is, of course, that the worn frets just force Willie to play with more force, more vibrato, more bending, more shaking, and of course, more weed. But
And more arthritis.
Yeah,
indeed,
right?
That man's
it's why he
poor
blew his
hands.
bicep out. This is probably just, trying to play too hard.
Fucking A.
So, despite the fact that Trigger has now spent his life with a bunch that was once notorious for outrageous behavior, he has no big cracks, his headstock has never snapped, and his sides and back look relatively fine. It's just not like he's got fibromyalgia or anything. Willie can sometimes seem cavalier with Trigger during shows, lifting him high in the air by the neck, but he's always been fiercely protective of the instrument, often resorting to physical measures to save him from other, shall we say, impaired individuals.
See, you're fucking me up because all I can think of now is that it's alive. And then it reminds me of that South Park episode where Oprah's vagina has a mind of its own
Can't
and
say I've
literally
seen
can
this one.
wield a gun.
Okay.
Is that a
Hashtag
lie?
Trigger.
Oh, I'm not presenting, so everything I'm saying is a lie. Yeah.
Okay.
That is real, by the way.
Her hole.
It's refers to itself as her minge.
So
It's South
Oprah's
Park. It wasn't
twat
me.
is British,
don't,
apparently.
Don't blame me
Well
for
done.
once. Yeah.
So, here is what Willie will resort to should anyone attempt to touch Trigger. It's said that he roughly pinned songwriter Johnny Darrell against a wall to rescue Trigger. He slugged Jerry Jeff Walker to get Trigger out of his arms. He affectionately slapped Chris Christopherson in the face for calling it an eyesore with strings.
Is that true?
What?
Chris.
He said
He did not
what?
slap Chris Christopherson, no.
Oh, it's like you
And
dare
then,
impugn Trigger's honor.
As I mentioned in last week's episode, he put a chokehold on Johnny Cash to spare it a significant amount of kicking while Cash was jittering on a blazing cocaine binge. Now, before you get me stopped, allow me to elaborate because this is rather apocryphal. At this point in Cash's life, we should note for anybody who's seen Walk the Line, he had a pretty rough existence. His friends generously labeled him as unpredictable and joked about his erratic behavior, despite every indication of John having serious addiction issues.
He's a Pisces.
Don't worry about him. He's a Pisces.
I was born under a bad sign. So, Cash at this point frequently got into car accidents due to his drug use, fanning off of roads, crashing into objects, and then subsequently hiding in caves. It is one such issue when he was, I'm not kidding, he was routinely known, it's depicted, his grand sort of change in his life when he decided he was sick and tired of being sick and tired. He fell asleep in a cave, crawled out of it, and claimed that he had a revelation from God that he was going to die if he kept going that way. So, yeah,
Okay.
he
Where are
apparently
these
enjoyed
caves?
secreting away in caverns. Well, when you're on tour, you can find a cave anywhere.
Also, I heard,
Carlsbad.
Okay.
like, true story, I heard there was, like, some terrifying caves in Tennessee. Like, in the backwoods of Tennessee.
Most certainly.
Yeah, isn't
And-
shoot, that was like one of the first like deaths by a mountain climber, I think. I can't remember. It was a horror story. Guy gets stuck because he falls forward and
It's,
it
James
takes
Franco.
him like I'm sorry?
It's James Franco.
The 127
Yeah.
hours?
Yeah. No, not that one. I was thinking a different thing.
Thank you.
Man, I thought there was a movie adaptation of what I'm talking about. Never mind, ignore me.
There probably is. You've never seen a movie, so you can't name it.
They are, in fact.
See, that's true. But
down in a
no,
hole.
the way that I understood what you said, as in every time he would get into an accident, he would go hide in a
You'd
cave.
find a hole.
It's
Yes.
kind of like
He,
how you...
he slams into another car, he gets out, he's like, oh shit, sees a cave, just hops into it.
If he could find one, you had a pretty good bet of finding John in a cave.
Oh man, Johnny Cash hit another pedestrian today.
He was the
All
original
right.
Batman.
What was that? He gets out to the bat cave.
They're not dead. They're just tuckered out. Sometimes...
Oh my god, I just figured out his secret identity. He called himself the Man in Black for like 30 years.
Oh shit.
Johnny Cash was Batman.
This goes all the way to the top.
I'm amazed. All right. So, let's get away from the caves here. He was often moody, confused, and difficult to work with. So thus, John was right on the money here. One night in Cookeville, Tennessee, at a small venue called the Hooper Ablin Center, Cash ribbed that he would use Trigger for his set. Now, so Willie, who had momentarily turned away after setting the instrument back in its case, saw that Cash was, of course, in his typical sort of petulant, detached, and dour mood that they would commonly call Cokey Cash.
They could have said anything.
Indeed.
They could have named it anything.
They could have. Cokey
What?
Cash.
Oh, please tell me that was a lie.
It was.
Thank you, Michael. I was just rolling with it.
Well,
So,
that's not the game, John.
I'm sorry. What do
Just
you want?
because you saw his answers and you were cheating.
You can clearly see that I cannot see this man's phone.
He's
He can
got a
see my
mirror on the
phone.
other side of the camera.
So, Willie then finally turned to find Cash was leaning down to grab the guitar, and thus, to prevent the situation from escalating further, snatched John around the neck, much like I want to do most days, and choked him unconscious with what Joe Rogan and other MMA aficionados would call a rear naked choke.
And if you do that to me, the odds of me making are pretty high.
Ooh, I'm excited. So, allow me to go a little further, because this has happened many times with professional wrestlers. So, from the account of wrestling manager and historian Jim Cornette, who I am an avowed acolyte of, he claimed that from his personal experiences and from observations, because he at one point had to run around significantly being a manager. You get chased around by the wrestlers and you try to evade them. So he was, as we call it in the business, blown up, and he went back to a locker room, and a buddy of his put a chokehold on him just to tease. He passed out in 2 seconds.
What?
Oh no.
Yes. So
Is he for hire?
you'd think. He's prone to nosebleeds. I mean, we'll say that. But in any event, so what I'm saying is that, for instance, if you have an extremely elevated heart rate, as you do when you say take an excessive amount of cocaine on the regular, you will probably pass out a good deal faster than you would otherwise.
Gotcha.
So here's Cash, coked to the gills, bent over, attempting to pick up a guitar. So when Willie, of course, put him into a panic state and locked his arm around him. Cash passed out in under 10 seconds and luckily fell to the left of the guitar case.
And
so he did not fall on trigger.
Was it under 10 seconds?
Yes, it was under 10 seconds.
Wow.
And then Willie's looking at his hands like, what power have I wrought?
Indeed.
And what year is this again? Sorry.
1978?
God damn it. I want to see a video.
I don't think they were filming. But
I know.
allow me. We'll get through this. So, of course, Cash good-naturedly recalls this story by saying that he woke up thinking, who's wearing my shoes? Not realizing that he was staring at his own fucking feet after having passed out. So he woke up looking at his feet and going, who's wearing my shoes?
Someone poisoned the watering hole.
Indeed.
There's some snakes in my boot.
Subsequently, in 2015, Rolling Stone Films presented a documentary which is entitled Mastering the Craft, Trigger, which depicts the story of the guitar in totality. It's directed by David Chamberlain and narrated by Woody Harrelson, of all people.
Interesting.
And the film, of course, features interviews with Nelson, his biographer Joe Nick Potosky, harmonicist Mickey Raphael, and of course, Jerry Jeff Walker, who got punched for fiddling around with Trigger. And the Cash story actually does feature rather prominently in the documentary. So if you are keen on hearing folks chat about it, you can check that out there. So the only time in the entirety of the guitar's lifespan that Willie has approved a major alteration was in 2008, when he wanted to change the way that his strap attached to the guitar.
Sorry, you said the only major alteration.
Yeah.
He just wanted
Something
to
innocent.
sit, so he wanted
Again.
to change the strap.
He gets upset when they steal his tuning pegs that he's, fumble fucked around with. So obviously,
My
This
fidget
one
widget.
feels different.
they took my fidget nipple. So, since the beginning, he had routed the strap around his neck, down under the guitar, and then clipped it onto the bottom of the rim of the sound hole, which is the way that mariachi players will strap their instruments. And, of course, years of playing had led to a giant knot on his neck where his trademark red, white, and blue macrame strap had rubbed. Willie then wanted to try a normal strap, which meant putting a button on the side of the heel underneath the neck of the guitar. Earl Wine, of course, obliged, with predictable results. Willie hated it.
Real knucklehead, this guy.
It changed the whole balance of the guitar, said Tom Hawkins. He did it for one day and then went back to playing it the old way. So at the end of every checkup, Earl Wine puts on a new set of strings, strums the guitar, and marvels again at how sweet Trigger still sounds. A guitar just sounds better as it gets older, just like the Stradivarius does. The wood, of course, ages and the tone gets more lively. New guitars have to, have time to open up, says Earl Wine. The wood has to vibrate, has to move, has to bring the sound out. And Willie plays so much it's brought out the tone of the guitar. So for years, Willie's crew then tried to get him to toggle over at least to another guitar occasionally, at least to give Trigger a break. So in the mid-90s, Pootie found a 1968 N20 Martin that was in much better condition. Willie, of course, thanked him, but flatly refused to even strap it on. In 1998, Martin then made an N20 replica, calling it the limited edition signature N20WN, in Willie's honor. Willie tried one, thanked them, and put it back in the case, never to play it again.
Ooh.
So
God.
his loyalty is legendary, as is his avowed disdain for change, which we can see as evidenced by all of this discussion. At this point, Nelson simply will not play another guitar. Every guitar has its own feel and sound, Willie says. The Trigger replicas are nice guitars, but anyone who's played this guitar can tell you immediately there's a different feel. Yeah, because there's no friggin' frets on it.
Right.
Hey, so this is what frets feel like, huh?
This doesn't hurt enough. So, why does the guitar feel different, Willie? The answer, of course, is as unique, intriguing, and indescribable as the man himself.
It's clinging to death, and I can feel it with every stroke.
I'm choking the life out of it with every strum of the guitar.
It's powered by blood.
The noises are, it screams.
It's fucking Nosferatu.
Yes, it soaks up the souls of everyone that's dedicated to it.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. The bones are my dollars.
You said you wanted something spooky.
Indeed. So this guitar gets paid with hair.
I forgot whether or not I'd said it.
Sorry for all of you who aren't in on the joke. We're moving on. Okay, this is why he and I aren't allowed in the same room together. One of the secrets to my sound is almost beyond explanation. I smoke a lot of ganja.
That's
No,
bullshit.
sorry.
Yeah.
I've got
That's not very beyond the imagination.
My battered old Martin guitar, Trigger, has the greatest tone I have ever heard from an acoustic instrument. If I picked up the finest guitar made this year and tried to play my solos exactly the way you heard them on the radio or even at last night's show, I'd always be a copy of myself, and we'd all end up bored. But if I play an instrument that's now a part of me and do it according to the way that feels right for me, I'll always be an original. And thus, we are going to end this installment by proving that John is correct, that Willie is in fact going to try to marry this guitar in 2023 when it becomes legal in the United States.
Yeah, also, there's going to be 6 more parts to the series as we explore the other remaining Horcruxes that keep Willie Nelson together.
I'll give you a soft applause for that one, friend. That was brilliant. Well done.
Beautiful.
So that, friends, is the storied existence of the Martin N20 as owned by Willie Nelson.
Wow.
Indeed.
I didn't think that you could do it.
I agree.
That was fun, though.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, and of course, you know, it's one of those.
It's no heavy water, but it'll do.
Indeed. I tried. Any additional stabs other than Willie to try to get the Horcrux?
I think at one point you said he tried playing a Stradivarius.
No,
as like
they're just saying that the wood ages the way that a Stradivarius does.
No, he played another guitar.
A
for like a,
Stratocaster.
Oh, wow, never mind. Nope, I got no stabs. I heard that as Stradivarius, and I was like, I don't think they made guitars. They made violins and shit.
The workings of your brain.
My brain.
Truly a treasure.
The inner workings of my mind are an enigma. I believe
You
that
are
is
a
known.
Curious enigma, yes.
Yes, you are.
Mm-hmm. Riddle me
Sweet
this.
baby boy.
Edward Nashton, yes, well done. Courtney, got anything?
I feel like there's going to be a lie in the list of people who signed it. I feel like maybe the carving it with something other than a ballpoint pen is like maybe a lie.
Okay.
It's
Neither of those are correct.
great.
Oof.
Okay,
All right.
I'm leaving.
C's get degrees. Yep.
You ready, Johnny?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Now, the problem with my having done this on my phone is it's in dark
Also,
mode.
every time you see me
Oh,
staring
no.
off, guys, it's because
Because
There's
you're
so
cheating.
many books.
yeah, I'm back in my favorite place, which is a curated selection.
Yes, he's in the Shane Hunt Memorial Library.
Well, I'm just looking at the just very impressive Stephen King selection, which I knew
and
would
that's
exist.
only half of the Stephen King selection because the others in the up top.
But also
Whoa.
just the paperback prints of the Dark Tower stuff I'm very fond of.
They are
And
delightful.
your very, very obscenely well-loved copies of It and Needful Things.
Well, I got those from a public library on a donation shelf.
Just say you're a nerd and that you've broken the books.
I mean, I broke them eventually, but yeah, the It cover was already almost falling off when I got it, and it's affectionately.
It's hard to keep 1,200 pages bound. Like
Yeah,
that.
particularly
Not
with
with that attitude.
Anyway,
Anyway.
lie number 1 is that Willie has only twice resorted to physical measures to save Trigger from other people. Not often. So, Chris Christopherson being slapped is not one of them,
Right.
nor was anything to do with Johnny Cash. Cash actually, by 1978, had pretty much cleaned up his act, and he just managed to wind up getting hooked on pain pills in the early 80s, but in the 70s, he was pretty well clean. So,
Okay, so,
So,
what I want to see
Well done.
doesn't even exist.
Oh.
Yeah, you know
So-
what? I had a suspicion too.
Yeah.
Wait, so then is that information about cocaine and passing out in 5 seconds. Is that true?
No, that is true, and
Okay.
that is
Where did you get that from?
That is from the Jim Cornette discussion. So there was a talk show host who is a stand-up comedian. I'm forgetting, but he was famously choked unconscious by Hulk Hogan in like under 3 seconds. So he told Hulk Hogan's like, yeah, wrestling's supposed to be fake. So Hogan's like, well, here, we'll just do this. So he put him in a front face lock, ratcheted up, and the guy just went limp. It immediately fell to the floor, cracked his head on the stage, and then wound up suing. And he was admittedly coked to the gills for most of his time as a comedian. So that's why they were saying he probably passed out so quickly, because his heart rate was just going so rapidly that you could almost instantaneously cut off the supply of blood to the brain, because it was just a little hummingbird of a heart, as Courtney is so fond of saying, that just trying to get the blood up in there, and it didn't have another alternative at that point.
Do you know if that was Chevy Chase?
It was not Chevy Chase.
Oh, okay, never mind.
I will look it up. I'll include something in the show notes here, because I'm not going to devolve any further than we already have. So, so line number 3 is, of course, putting a chokehold on Johnny Cash, running through all of the other things. Line number 4 was, of course, the moniker of Cokie Cash. I figured I'd give you a layup for that one.
Thank you. I needed that ego boost.
Indeed. And then line number 5 is, of course, Johnny Cash good-naturedly recalling the incident by saying, "Who's wearing my shoes?" That is actually the Jim Cornette story. He said after his friend choked him unconscious, he woke up and he was looking down and he's like, "Who's got my shoes on?" And he'd just fallen off of the stool he was sitting on, and he was looking down at his shoes because he just was right level with them. He wasn't wearing them at the time.
Interesting.
So that is all the way up through line number 5. And of course, subsequently, that means that the Johnny Cash incident is not featured prominently in that documentary. And so you can't actually see, but the documentary itself is real. And
you're very good at stacking.
It's a house,
it's
a house of cards. Ooh.
Yeah, you want to just try to pretend. And of course, in point of fact, Willie didn't just refuse. He didn't refuse to strap on the replacement N20 when they were trying to give it to him. He actually did try it on, give it a couple strums, and then thank them for bringing it to him, and then put it back in the case. So the running theme is that you can hand Willie the guitar, he'll strum it a couple times, and thank you very much for having provided him something, and then put it back in the case and just go back to using trigger. So that is the collection. So it was a real sort of like batched collection of lies. It was most of the rest of everything else is factual.
Nice.
Huh. Sometimes truth is stranger than fiction, as they say.
And speaking of fiction, good job on a 2-parter.
Oh, bless you.
I like doing these like multi-part segments. They're fun.
Part of the reason I'm doing this as well is because I do realize that I am going to have to be very research heavy for the next month, because we have Phoenix Fan Fusion coming up in May that I need to be more than adequately prepared for, which includes doing 4 panels of our own, all of which I'm trying to do the reading, the research, and prep questions and discussion points for. So, like, I'm going to be way heavy into research for that, so I might have to beg off of doing episodes for a little bit whilst I'm trying to put together our live shows.
Yeah,
and John will pick up the slack, right?
Well, actually, hold on.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Michael, please.
Hey, I don't mind being told to shut up if I'm wrong.
What I was going to say, and now I'm losing the track because...
Go on.
Because Michael... Go on. Fan Fusion has been teased so many times to me at this point over the past 2 years that it is not going to exist until the literal day that I'm in the car driving to it.
Okay.
He's not going to have any work done for it.
But no, I was gonna use fiction as a segue to recommend a movie to at least Courtney, because Courtney is now into thrillers and she can handle scary stuff. And this one's not really scary; it's more just like a lot. It's just a lot of fun. But are you guys familiar with Edgar Wright?
Yes. I mean, I have
As in,
enjoyed a Cornetto trilogy from time to time.
Okay.
Yeah, dude
Like
who did
Hot
Shaun
Fuzz
of the
and all
Dead.
the- Yeah, okay.
He also
Yeah,
did Scott Pilgrim.
Of course, you'd go with Scott and like Hot Fuzz first, Michael.
Courtney,
I
have you
actually did
watched
not
any
know
of those?
Edgar Wright did Scott Pilgrim. So.
He also did Baby Driver, if you liked that one.
Which is
I
fantastic.
never did see it, though. I was told too many times.
Oh, it's a great film.
It is very good.
Really well done. Jamie Foxx is lit as balls, but I mean, everybody else does a phenomenal job.
Anywho, he has a new movie out called Last Night in Soho. And
Oh.
I think you can rent it now. It's out of theaters.
Okay.
But I watched it over the weekend, and it was just so much fun. Like, it's a nice like it's a little bit of a whodunit kind of, but very visually pleasing, as is Edgar Wright's shtick. He's that's kind of what he's known for. And I felt like Shane for a moment, because with my lunch today, I was watching was it Vanity Fair's, or not Vanity Fair, is it Variety that does the director videos where they break anatomy of a scene?
Yes, okay.
But it's a video of Edgar Wright going through a scene of his choosing out of all of his movies. It's like 30 minutes long. It was really good. But anyway, Last Night in Soho would be a lot of fun. But that got me thinking as well that maybe I want to research and talk to you guys soon-ish about the history or just some education on a one-take shot.
Ooh.
Because some of my favorite shit in film is a one take, and the obnoxious lengths that people go to get one take.
And to stage that. How about even the subgenre now that is like the frozen scene, where
Ooh,
everybody
yeah,
has to
yeah.
stop and freeze in place, and then they do the one shot walking through where everybody's kind of
Right.
like, hanging out. That's granted, that was 2 years ago, but still. Holy Christ!
In this economy? You're really
No,
going
that
to
would
take
be-
my phone and throw it across the room, Shane?
About to throw you across the room. I think that would be a fun concept for an episode.
And
Yeah.
I am still balls deep on the Testament of Solomon.
Cool.
It's
So
just,
So next week you're
sounds like
presenting?
he is.
let's see, what do I got going on? Well, Shane
You're
and I
gonna have
have
a lot of
show-
noise to kill, Michael. I'm sorry.
Shane and I have a show Saturday, going to a show on Sunday night. I mean, I could probably pull something off, but not Testament.
Is it finally going to fall off?
Yeah, with that attitude, yeah. Yeah, you know what? Fuck
your
it.
sack off like a paper
Fuck it.
towel.
I'll have a presentation next week.
Okay.
Whoa, you
Maybe,
heard
maybe
it
we should
here
stop
first.
calling them presentations. I'll have an episode next week.
Oh man. You were gonna start. Hey, so I think we're gonna do a free form
I
tomorrow.
was going to say, so on the subject of fan fusion
Well, I mean,
not existing
wait,
until we're
so
on the
fucking-
way to the venue, I will believe it when you actually start
So
telling us how
Michael-
many lies you have next week.
Michael gets a free form, but I don't.
When did
The
Michael
hell
get
you
a free
talking
form?
about?
Didn't he have like a loose thing where he's like, oh, there's like fucking like 5 minutes and the rest, I just knew that you guys would talk a lot.
That's how I write my episodes now.
He's got attention deficit disorder.
Wow.
Did you get a dog pile on the guy because of his infirmities? I mean,
Yeah, that's not very cash
Have
money of
you
you to make fun of my
listened?
neurodivergence here.
Have
He
you
has
listened
had
to the
to
show? Also, did you just say that's not very cash
I
money
need
of
Michael
you?
to say that all the time. All the time.
I am not having a Baja Blast right now.
No.
Ooh, I would like a Baja Blast. That's my favorite Mountain Dew flavor.
It is. I agree.
I'm scared to have it again. I'm afraid I won't like it.
Oh, you'll
or I'm
fall
afraid.
in love.
Actually, my
You're
my
afraid.
biggest fear, and
Like
it's
it
Don't
too
like it
much.
too much.
the most. Yes, that is my most prominent fear of anything that I'm
You'll
debating is that I'll like it too much.
Well,
And
let's
then you'll
talk
start
about
using it as an enema.
Mr. Privilege over here.
God.
Strolls into my house with a nice little combination
Oh, no.
that he got, and he takes like 3 sips of the soda and then just dumps the rest of it out.
It
He's
was
like, I didn't
cheaper.
need it anyway. I'm
It
just
was
gonna.
cheaper to do the combo, and I wanted a little bit of caffeine, but I've drastically cut my caffeine, and I didn't need it.
I could make you coffee. I'm a man of means.
We
I
don't
could've had
waste
bones.
drinks in this
Yeah,
household.
We poors would drink that soda.
Yeah, out of the sink.
All of a sudden, I'm over here like, there's some bones in this house. There's some bones in this house. If you see them, pouring them out.
I'm starting to understand Wall Street because I feel very persecuted. Matthew McConaughey.
Henry Zabarski over here just having a grand old time. All right. Well, I think that is going to... We have a John episode coming up next week. We have Fan Fusion on the horizon for those of you who are listening. It is, as far as I'm aware, as of my last email communique, happening.
And when roughly?
That is going to be the 29th of May, I believe, is our last
So
discussion.
what you're saying is that I should-
around that, it's that weekend. So it's the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday right before Memorial
So what you're
Day.
saying is I should request that weekend off.
I would say that would be wise.
That probably would be a good idea. I
Yeah,
should do that.
yeah.
I'm just going to do that right now.
Yeah, let's do that while you have an opportunity.
There's ghosts in the machines.
I hate this thing. We're gonna kill it.
Not if I beat you to it.
All right, Phoebe. I think we're here. We're live. This is an experience.
I'm scared.
Do you know who I am?
Where is he?
I just want my mom to know that I love her.
What is happening?
I don't want to die like this.
I feel like my weed is kicking in way sooner than I expected. Holy shit.
All right. So, yes, at the end of May, you can find us at Fan Fusion. We have got 4 fantastic panels that are planned. It's going to be a grand time. And, of course, you can catch our new episodes here every lovely Monday morning, including those that John claims he's going to do. And, of course, there is a link tree in the show notes. You can find all of our socials there. Go check out your preferred platforms. We've got content winging your way everywhere. It varies in quality, but we do have content winging your way. We have over 9,000 items available for you to sample on YouTube. So, you can get anything you want over there, including Ben Shapiro, which no one wanted.
And according to the stats that you've looked at, it's a fucking sausage fest.
Indeed.
So
yes.
if you want some sausage, go to YouTube.
Indeed. So hi, all of you lovely gentlemen out there, and you 2% female audience that we have.
Yeah, does this make you hard, you fucking beefcake?
Brutus? The barber?
Look at that brick shithouse
You know what's
listening to
funny?
our fucking podcast like at the Giga Chad he is.
You're totally attuned to my brain space, man, because Brutus Beefcake's finishing maneuver was, in fact, a sleeper hold. AKA the rear naked choke. So you would go right out, and then he would shave your lovely locks.
Okay.
All right. That's
I
why
wish
he was
you luck.
part of the dream team. Anyway, I think we're done here, ladies and germaphobes. Thank you for being here as always. If you're digging what you hear, please like, subscribe.
God damn. Stop touching things.
Take it from one. Give me your phone. Give
Revoke his
You've
phone
lost your
privileges.
phone. You'll get
Sorry,
this
Dad.
back at the end of the day.
So, like, subscribe, rate, review. We would love to hear from you. Keep this thing going because we can't kill it. It's like Trigger. It has to endure.
Why are you putting it inside of you?
I mean,
Kill
it's the only place it's supposed to.
me.
It's a hands-free phone.
You put it right between the cheeks and it goes forever.
It's a pinch between the cheek and gums.
Sure, you've had the inside of your colon pictured, but have you gotten a picture of it looking out?
My name is Dr. Henry Killinger, and this is my magic murder rectum. We're going to have photographic evidence of life on your anus. All right, thank you all for being here, and I believe that is going to officially wrap it up like a rectum around a finger. So for the Disinformed podcast this week, I'm Shane.
I'm John.
I'm Michael.
I'm Courtney.
And zippity zoop, we're out of here.
Pictures where you poop.